Good morning, folks. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson here in the TV9 newsroom, giving you this update on the wintry weather that we have on the way. The possibility of rain, snow, or a bit of a mix of both will be coming to eastern Iowa as soon as later tonight into Friday. Then we have more as a possibility as we wrap up the weekend. We first alerted you to this several days ago, and we've been keeping you updated as we've gotten closer. And at this point, it looks like things are pretty much narrowed down in terms of what's going to take place. So let's give you the latest look here at the latest information that we have. A winter weather advisory was posted this morning by the National Weather Service for later tonight into Friday for areas along and north of Highway 20. Most of this will be falling in the form of snow. That's why we're expecting those areas to be seeing the highest potential for accumulation. That's why that advisory is in effect. We'll take a look at pinpoint futurecasts and kind of time out the arrival of this precipitation. The vast majority of today is spent dry. We're going to expect things to be pretty quiet. A patch of clouds here or there, a patch of sunshine here or there as we go through the day. Wind's actually staying a little bit lighter today. Should be a pretty decent day around eastern Iowa before things turn a little bit more unsettled later tonight. Pinpoint Futurecast shows this change as we go through the nighttime hours. Clouds start to build, and then some precipitation does too. Notice by about 10 o'clock, we're starting to see some scattered showers, mostly in the form of snow north of Highway 20. Those become more numerous, but still scattered in the early morning hours of Friday, and then really start to fill in as we head toward the mid-early morning hours, starting at about 3 o'clock. You notice a pretty widespread area of some snow up north, and then a bit of that mix as we head toward the central and southern portions of the viewing area, right along that Highway 30 corridor. You can see some of that there. It's the area that we're looking just north of Highway 20 where some of the moderate or even heavy snowfall rates could take place as we head toward the early portions of the morning commute. Folks that get up and about at about 6 o'clock, you could be running into some pretty snowy conditions in those spots, and that's why we have that area in that winter weather advisory. To the south, maybe a bit of a lull, but more precipitation moves in from the west. And notice how far south that snowfall potential gets down toward the Highway 30 corridor, where some folks could see some wintry impacts as a result. Precipitation, though, starts to end by mid to late morning. Notice even up toward Charles City and Decorah at 8 o'clock. We're seeing less in the way of precipitation, and it continues to shift to the southeast. By 10 o'clock, areas near Iowa City and Cedar Rapids starting to see it taper off, and by lunchtime, we should all be pretty much drying out except for some rain left over in Mount Pleasant. Leads into a breezy finish by the afternoon. So in summary, the precipitation types that we're expecting out of the system, mainly snow along and north of Highway 20. That's why the best chance for accumulation will be in that range. A mix of rain and snow for the areas between Highway 20 and Highway 30, and down to the south is where things should stay as just rain, and that's why we're seeing that potential, or rather lack thereof, for any snow accumulation there. 2 to 4 inches of snow likely for the areas highlighted in that bluish color up north. This is a slight increase over our previous forecast that we were advertising through the day yesterday. It's a pretty subtle difference in terms of impacts, but the possibility for a little bit of those heavier accumulations has increased just a bit over the past 12 to 24 hours of new information that we have. That's why there was that slight change. A trace to 2 inches for the white area to the points to the south between Highway 20 and Highway 30. Now, most of the communities within that white area probably on the lower end of that scale because of several factors. We're going to be fighting against, well, warmer ground temperatures, warmer air temperatures, both of these things working against the potential for any sort of accumulation. But we should see snowfall rates in the northern zones of the viewing area stay heavy enough that we could see that outpace those negative factors. That's why those areas are expected to get more snow, pretty sharp drop off to the south. And if you live south of Highway 30, you may see some snowflakes, but in terms of slick roads or other issues, that seems less and less likely at this point, and we're leaving them out of our snowfall forecast. So certainly it's going to be an interesting time. We haven't had to deal with this sort of weather for some time, so just plan on a longer commute if you live in the north. Plan on giving yourself extra time to get where you're going so that you resist the urge to drive a little bit faster. I know I'm guilty of that too. If you're running behind and it's bad weather, you still want to get there on time, but that's why you give yourself that extra time. Give yourself extra stopping distance too between you and the car in front of you, as well as the vehicle as you approach the intersection areas, stoplights, stop signs. You don't want to slide through, as that can sometimes happen as well. Now let's jump ahead a little bit. We're not done with wintry weather once we get to the point of Thursday or Friday afternoon. The next storm system, which we have also been talking about for several days, arrives pretty quickly. It's going to be here as soon as we get toward late Saturday night. Probably all day Saturday looks dry. Clouds increase, but things should stay dry but cool. Temperatures only in the upper 30s to low 40s before the storm system approaches. Now by Sunday morning, very early Sunday morning, we could be talking about a little bit of light snow. A more substantial push of moisture arrives as we head toward Sunday later morning into the afternoon. We should have enough cold air in place that as it does, we could see that start as all snow or a rain-snow mix across a good portion of the area. But notice by Sunday evening, enough warm air has started to wrap around the system on the front side of it that we are seeing those precipitation types generally change to rain. And by Sunday night into Monday morning, we're talking plain rain across the area. So whatever snow is able to stick on Sunday, it has impacts while that occurs, but they will be limited. They will likely diminish and see that snow start to melt even as soon as Sunday night. Through the day on Monday, rain showers remain a possibility, even a few thunderstorms possible during that time before we start to see precipitation begin to taper off. Before it does, enough cold air could get involved that we could see a bit of a mix again on the backside of the system before drier weather later on Tuesday, and we catch a bit of a break in the middle of next week. Doesn't mean that our active weather pattern is over, it just means that we'll have a couple of days of dry weather. So for this storm system, we're still enough time away that some changes could take place. We're starting to lock in on exactly what's going to occur there. So we still encourage you to stay with us over the next couple of days. We'll have additional updates between now and then on all the platforms that we are found on. That includes KCRG.com as well as KCRG TV9 on TV and on your streaming devices, as well as the KCRG TV9 First Alert Weather app. Grab that if you don't have it. We'll have daily updates there. In terms of the storm system's potential to drop accumulating snow, it does include parts of eastern Iowa, but the better chance for some particularly heavy snowfall accumulation is out toward the Dakotas and Minnesota. If you have travel plans Sunday into Monday in those areas, those spots could be dealing with some very tricky travel as this system begins to move through. Winds will also be a factor with this system. They will be gusty at times during its extent, and so those areas that see heavier snowfall accumulation to our northwest could also be dealing with impacts from that. The good news out of all of this is that between now and a week from today, rainfall totals could be pretty substantial. We're talking amounts that could be between about half an inch, some areas up to 2 inches of either rain or liquid equivalent in terms of what you've melted snow down and what you're left with once you do. That would be really helpful for the drought conditions that we have ongoing. However, we still need more work beyond that. It's just a start. With an active weather pattern, though, continuing after that, the good news is that we may start to chip away at that at least a little bit. Some trend for this has been shifting the heaviest precipitation a little bit farther north toward the snowier areas of Minnesota and the Dakotas, but we still get a pretty good shot at some decent and substantial precipitation here in eastern Iowa. So let's recap. Winter weather advisory is in effect for the areas along and north of Highway 20 in particular, except for west of Waterloo. That's where it trails off a little bit. This covers Friday in particular, the morning hours through in some cases toward about lunchtime, and that's for where the snow is most likely to accumulate. We do have precipitation moving in much later tonight. Most areas stay dry today. In fact, we'll see more and more sunshine as we go through the day before clouds return, and precipitation moves in, starting at about 10 o'clock as soon as you get into northern Iowa during that time. You see those very scattered snow showers that way, and then we see them expand a little bit over the course of the next several hours. By mid-morning, or early morning rather, it's still before sunrise. For most people wake up, you'll be running into scattered snow showers in the north, but becoming more numerous, more widespread, potentially a bit heavier too. That period between about 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning, right along that Highway 20 corridor, could be a period of moderate to maybe heavier snowfall rates. It's that type of snowfall that could overcome those negative factors of warmer temperatures and warmer ground temperatures to cause some slick roads to develop. So the morning commute along and north of Highway 20 in particular looks potentially a little bit slick. Even down toward the Highway 30 corridor later in the morning, that potential for snow will exist, and that could cause some slick roads in that area too, but the precipitation winds down in time for lunch. In terms of the type of precipitation that we see, snow most likely north of Highway 20, rain most likely south of Highway 30, and a bit of a mix in between, and that's why the precipitation amounts are lighter there in terms of snowfall accumulation. 2 to 4 inches for the areas along and north of Highway 20, a trace to 2 inches for the areas in the middle where that transition area kind of takes place. We'll have additional updates. I'll be in for the rest of the morning. I'll have more news on this situation coming up on the TV9 News at midday on KCRG TV9. Meteorologist Joe Winters will be here this evening to also track the latest and any changes that have come with these storm systems over the next couple of days, and we'll keep you informed. That's the whole idea of the First Alert Storm Team, is that team coverage, that constant coverage of what we're doing and what's coming to eastern Iowa. Thanks for joining me this morning. Hope that you stay safe. Just don't forget those simple winter weather driving techniques tomorrow, even though we haven't had to use them. And for those that like warmer weather, I'm on your side, hopeful for warmer weather in the future. Thanks, and have a good day.